Hey, Tony Gas is here, popping in. Now, this week I've been in the book of Timothy, 1 Timothy. And I want you to spend some time today. Go in your Bible, go to 1 Timothy, and read as long as you can read. If you can read an hour, read an hour. But 1 Timothy, it's one thing about 1 Timothy, it's gonna shake you up because it has very direct and specific instructions for us. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and it hits hard now. I'm just telling us where we need to be. Emotionally, mentally. Y'all gotta forgive all this beeping because I'm at the grocery store. I'm leaving the grocery store and picking up groceries for the family for the Super Bowl today and for the week ahead. And people walking behind my car. It is packed. And I want you to think about this. And as you reading it, get that message in you, because it really talks to you about what God is expecting from you. This sister here, know she happy. It's a Caucasian sister. I seen her in the grocery store. She got a baby on the front of her, and she just a smiling, and she coming out the store with the baby on the front of her, like in a little scrap, just a smiling. I don't know if it's just because her baby is on her like that and people looking at her smiling because the baby cute, or her husband treating her that good. I'm like, man, I want my wife to be walking around just grinning and cheesing like that. My goodness, she about to make me happy. But listen, I want you to go in there and get that word, and I want you to read it for yourself, at least them first 3 chapters. Because there's some instruction in there, and the good thing to do is get you a study Bible. Because in chapter 2, 1 Timothy chapter 2, I believe it was talking about, it went to talking about the women, and talking about like women need to learn, in quiet, and women should not be speaking in the church, and women should not be giving men instructions in the church. And women should not focus too much on expensive clothes and gold for their beauty, but instead it should be their good deeds. And when I read it, I'm like, hold on now, this kind of real now. This a little too. I'm like, is Apostle Paul in the red pill community? But then when I read the notes, it explained what it was talking about, and what it was saying is that in that time, in that day and age, women were not allowed to study. And to the church that he was talking to, the women, he was telling them, like, you can study, but you need to keep it on the low. You need to learn, because y'all are not allowed to study now in certain areas. So now that you can study, take your time and learn in silence. And don't be going into church trying to stand up and teach and talk and tell everybody what to do, because you're a baby in the word. You're new to the word. And what it was saying is that, and it described the part about the gold and the expensive clothes, is saying that's not where a woman should focus on or get all of her beauty from, but instead it should be her good deeds and her works. Now that car looked like, man, they turned so close, like they're about to run into the other car. Somebody inside of these notes, they tried to clear this up. They had to clear this up for Paul. Paul probably meant what he meant. Paul probably was like, I said what I said. But in the notes, and I read that one time, I watched an interview of a lady who said that she was a Muslim lady, and she said the same thing about, she was talking about the Quran, and she was like, it was some scriptures in there that was like against women in the original text. But she said in the rewritings of it, and people always try to say that, you know, Muslims be getting mad and some of the Quran was never rewritten. What it means is the translation. What she's talking about, translation, so that Americans can read it. And people who don't speak that original language can read it in the different languages. And I'm gonna imagine they got study Bibles too, you know, study books as well. She was saying that some women, and she said she was a part of the committee that had to help kind of flesh it out and write some things in there. And I could tell that the way this was written in this study Bible I have, I could tell that the writer is, you know, from a modern time and was trying to, because they used a lot of references and basically saying that, you know, Paul wasn't against women speaking in the church, because he spoke about this woman and that woman who worked in the church, who taught in the church, and this man who was a, you know, renowned teacher. His teacher, spiritual teacher, was actually a woman, and so it made references to where he was specifically talking to, I think it said the church of Ecclesiastes, because women had started learning the faith, but they were so new in the faith, they were susceptible to being deceived by false doctrine. So that there were false teachers, and I think in chapter 3 it went into talking about false teachers. There were false teachers coming in, and because the women were babies in this knowledge, they were being deceived by false doctrine. If you look, you notice the same thing happens today in our world. I get on the phone with women, and whereas if they had a husband and he focused on the investments and he focused on the savings, he handled the finances. Now these women who go into the world, and they go into the world with their alimony, their spousal support, they go to the first financial advisor and get just raked over the coals, get put into some investment that is absolutely horrendous, and it's just because it wasn't her area of focus, her area of study. Her husband handled that, or her dad handled that, or whoever handled that. And the same thing with relationships. It's a lot of false relationship doctrine that women are teaching, that they've learned it from a grown boy, and they want to have a message, they want to have a voice, and so they talking and teaching other women and teaching them wrong. And then it's a lot of men who they want to sleep with the women in their audience, and they want to be out here just making money. They doing it for the money, and they teaching wrong, so that when you hear the message and you run into him in person, he has more game than you, because he done gave you wrong, false game. So now you play right into his hand with this false game. And that's what Paul was saying. It's like, listen, y'all can study now, but don't get up. Don't go and study and then want to go right to the church and hop up and go to teaching. And so that's what I mean by having you a study Bible, so that as you read it, you kind of can see the context. You can see the context of what they're talking about, because we'll take and read that. And I know a lot of people without the study Bible, because when I first read it, I was listening to it on the audio, and that's on the Bible app, so that's not a study. It don't go into the breakdown. But when I got my study Bible out, I'm like, oh, glad you cleared this up, Paul, because I'm over here looking at, I'm glad they cleared it up, because I'm looking at Joyce Meyer and Paula White and these different women that's preaching. I'm like, did the Bible say y'all supposed to be sitting down? So I had to get that clarification. So that's what I mean when you get your old study Bible and just go on Amazon and just search study Bible, and it's one with like tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. Just get that one. That's what I did. It's like a green, the box that it come in is like green and goldish, or maybe got some brown in there. And I just did that. Just got that box, and I mean got that study Bible, and that's what I read. But I want to encourage you to keep developing, and I'm gonna tell you, and I think it was in chapter 3 that convicted my spirit, that was just talking about leaders and teachers, and it was just talking about how, like, hey, listen, you gotta take care of your home first. Your home need to be in order, because how can you stand up in the church and want to be talking to somebody and your home out of order? And that thing was convicting, because you remember, it's mega pastors who daughters, and it's a lot of pastors, include my father, who was a pastor. My sister got pregnant at 16. I went to jail at 15. They did what they could do, but you under spiritual attack, you in spiritual warfare. So stuff like that gonna happen now. Stuff like that gonna happen. But that really hit me hard, and I say, hold on now. So that's why I'm on my son. That's why I'm on his head right now. I'm on his head right now. And every single day I'm on him, because people see me and I'm out here running my mouth. But if my son in school getting in trouble and being disrespectful, and he doing this and that, they looking at me like, how you got all the advice in the world for everybody, and your son arrogant and egotistical and disrespectful? Your son ain't who you think he is. And so I'm like, you know what? I got to be mindful. He doing good now, but I got to remember, I got to be mindful of that. And that's what I want you to understand. And don't just take and look at it like, oh, this just for pastors. No, you in the community, you got a job. The message still is, take your home first. Make sure your kids well behaved and respectful. And that's what it said. It was like a pastor, or whatever it said, a teacher or a leader. Kids should be respectful out in the community. And I'm like, man, that's some good stuff there now. So, hey, it's Tony Gaston. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Oh, and remember, I'm going to put the link in the description for the group coaching. So if you don't have a life coach, or if you have a life coach and you just need something a little different, make sure you join us. We cranking up this month. It'll probably be the last week of February that we have our first call. For those in the coaches mastermind, we having a call, I think, on the 15th. This stuff will be recorded and put into the academy. So if you missed the live call, then you'll be able to pick up on it later. And then in the group coaching, we'll have other bonus sessions. And so the Saturday school will pretty much transition eventually into the group coaching. So the Saturday school lessons that I would do on Saturday school, that'll be like one-off. Well, now those lessons will be put in for the group coaching. So that way people in group coaching don't have to pay $47 a month, then pay an additional $25, per Saturday. We'll put that over there. And then if you want these extra bonus lessons, like how to start a nonprofit organization, how to start an LLC, how to use TikTok, or how to use Reels, these different bonus lessons, they'll be put into the group coaching. So you'll see it on TonyGastonAcademy.com. It's called the Growth Club, and I'll put the link in the description. Join me there, because we getting it going. And somebody wrote in and asked, will it be a cap on it? No, I don't cap it, but I don't have to cap it, just because it's not a lot of people that can afford coaching, that can afford $47 a month. And so it kind of naturally caps itself. And then it's not a lot of people that do self-development and that really believe in it. And so many people have a scarcity mindset, and I'm gonna get everything I can for free. And that's how I was, you know, when I first started out. And a lady said to me one time, she says, Tony, you know you're gonna have to pay for something one day. Ooh, that thing convicted my spirit. And it wasn't until I started paying for things and I started investing in myself that's what sent me into that next level. That's what took me to 6 figures. That's what took me to 7 figures. That's what changed my life, when I would invest in myself. And a lot of people just have preconceived notions and just limiting beliefs and scarcity mindset, and don't realize just the understanding of what happens when you invest in yourself. A lot of people don't get it. But hey, God bless you. Y'all gotta forgive me looking in the rearview mirror, cause I see my neighbors them back there in their backyard playing some kind of game, and I didn't even know they had a backyard. But God bless you. We'll talk soon.